These are a set of stencils by Joan Marone from pmartiststudio, and they're Neurographic Style 5. And there's, I think they come in a set of 2, I'm not sure, but they're different sizes. We're going to play with them on the 5x7 inch plate, and we're just going to try some different things with them. And I think I'll go over the top of it with this violet blue iridescent. Try to get on here very light. And these PBO pearlescent paints take a minute to dry. Let's pull this up and off, and we'll let that dry. I'm going to pull it off with a piece of book paper. Ooh, that is really lovely. Let's grab a piece of deli paper and just see if there's any more that we can pull off. I don't care if it's perfectly clean. I got quite a bit of it off. Now let's pull this stencil up. Let's let that dry. This is a stencil by Estella Banks from pmartiststudio, and it's called Baubles and Stars. I'm going to lay that down over the top of that Neurographic. I'm going to go over the top of this with this Aura Gold. And I'm going to put it on the stencil, because sometimes it's easier to spread. And this is a very, very translucent paint. Let's pull that off gently. I can see it. I think you can see it too. I actually think that's going to be really lovely. These two together I think are going to be gorgeous. I'm going to do the same exact thing to this one. I'm going to go over the top of it using Estella's stencil and the Aura paint. It's not going to want to stick. I'm going to try to use a little bit more paint because I want this not quite as transparent. Okay, let's pull that off. I think you can see that underneath it. Okay, let's let that dry. I am going to pull both of these with Quin Magenta in the open. And I think I've mentioned before, I just like the way the open pulls. Let's try this again with the Quin Magenta. Okay, let's try this one on a piece of book paper. Well, this center thing didn't show up real well, but we can fix that. Yeah, this one doesn't show up either, but like I said, we can fix that. We're going to add back in this Neurographic piece, and we're going to use Phthalo Blue red shade. Lay that down. I'm going to go over the top of it with this brayer off to see how much of that I can get off. Okay, let's pull this up. Ooh, that's pretty, isn't it? Pull it up on a piece of deli paper. See how much more of it we can get up. See if we can get just a little bit more off of there. Let's pull this up. Now, here's the reason that an acrylic sheet is so handy. Now we can position this over the top of this and get fairly close. I don't care if it's perfect. There we go. It's going to look nice. I have a brayer off here, and I'm going to take this Neurographic stencil and just set it down right over the top of this. See if I can get some of that paint off on it. A little bit, not a lot, but some. Let's use anthraquinone for the other one. Let's pull this off. Let's grab this, set this down. Now this one is not going to fit perfectly because it's actually a little bit bigger than the one I had on there. So we're just going to get close. Perfect. So I really love this one, but I think it needs something. So let's grab this stencil from Estella, which is Baubles and Stars, and let's lay down some of our Ara Gold. Let's lay down the stencil. Let's go over the top of this with all of this. Try to remove as much of that gold as we can. Very nice. I love that. Let's pull this off. Let's lay it down over the top of this, which is just a brayer off. Just like so. And it will be very subtle, but I think it'll be very nice. Let's pull this. And this one just had that extra little bit of gold on it. I don't even know. Oh yeah, you can see it a little bit. This one we had the blue on. Oh yeah, that looks much, much better. Oh yeah, this is going to be beautiful too. Very, very nice. These are some of the prints that we've just completed. This one, which was on book paper, which I love. And then, off camera, I had just received a new stamp, which is called The Mowing Duck Motif by Joan Marone. And it's a great stamp, and I wanted to play with it a little bit. So I put that stamp over the top of some of these prints. I love the stamp. It prints beautifully, but I wasn't sure that I loved the way that I had applied the stamp. Here's another one. This was on a brayer off. And I don't really mind all of this, but I think it'll make a better background than a foreground. Now this one I like. Just had the one stamp. I kind of like that one. And this was a brayer off that I just was kind of playing with the stamp a little bit. This one I did actually really like. And then this one, of course, is blank. I'm not going to show you how to stamp with this stamp because I'm fairly certain you know how to do that. But I did think that we might try adding some things to these to just make them a little bit more interesting. I think they'll make nice cards. So let me grab some supplies and I'll be back. We're going to use a little bit of white. We're going to use this script stamp, which I just got, by the way. This is, I believe, a Froyle stamp, so I'll have the link to it, both it and the Mowing Duck stamp, down in the description. But let's use our 5x7 as a palette, and let's add this stamp to this with a little bit of white. And let's just brayer over the top of this stamp. I actually want it to go this way. So let's place our stamp down over the top of our print. Okay, now that is cool. I was kind of debating about putting it on like this. Yeah, very cool. I like that. Okay, that's cool too. And it could go either way. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm going to go clean up my stamp because I can't leave that paint on there, it'll ruin the stamp. And I'll be back. I have glued each one of these onto some cardstock, and I'm going to tear this cool little stamp that I stamped on this brayer off piece, and I'm going to tear them out. I'm going to add a couple feature stripes here. That'll go over the top, and I really like that. All right, I don't usually measure, but I think that I will. I'm going to go 1 1/8 inches. And then we'll glue that one just across like that. Okay, there we have it. I love that. I am going to finish the rest of these up off camera and I'll be back. These are the cards that we've completed today. This was a blue one that I was not terribly happy with, but I think with the addition of the script stamp, cutting out the little Neurographic stamp, I think it works. Here's the second one, which I did actually like the background before I stamped all the Neurographic stamps over it, but once I added another couple layers, I thought it turned out really well. This one was one of the simpler ones. It was just on the book paper with the gold overlay, and then I layered up a feature stripe, added the stamp to it which I tore out of the piece of the brayer off, and I like it. This one I left as is. I didn't do anything to it because I thought it looked really nice just the way it was. This one I really love, and I was not fond of this blue background, but once I added the script stamp, added this little stamp, I think it turned out really well. Now, one thing I didn't do to these, usually I would have inked up the edges of that torn portion on the stamp, but I chose not to because I wanted those edges of those papers to show. I wanted it to look a little more rustic, I thought. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you hear when I've got new videos coming out. Leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. And I'll see you in my next video.